There's three power struggles for relationships. These relationships aren't necessarily romantic relationships. These power struggles can exist in any relationship. The first power struggle is the perfectionistic schizoid power struggle. Both of these people are centering around acceptance. So the power struggle is around acceptance, but schizoid people and perfectionistic people approach acceptance in a different way. Schizoid people think they should be accepted no matter what, whereas perfectionists will listen to criticism and step it up and fix things so as to be accepted. So when they are both seeking acceptance, they can't understand the other person's perspective because they seek it in completely different ways. Also, schizoid people tend to be very unconventional in their thinking, and perfectionists tend to be extremely logical, conventional, analytical in their thinking. So they actually drive each other insane by thinking in a different way too. Basically, these two are complete opposites and very different, with schizoid people being ungrounded, living in the past and the future, and perfectionists living in the present. So there's a lot of power struggles between them. So what the goal is for the perfectionist to be able to love someone as they are, and for the schizoid person to become grounded. So hopefully in their interactions together, they can achieve that. It's not usually the outcome, but for people to move towards mature love, they have to reconcile the power struggle. So if that's one of your power struggles, that's one that needs to be reconciled. The second power struggle is the rescuer-dependent power struggle. It sounds like this should be harmonious, however it isn't, because the rescuer isn't helping the dependent so the dependent can stay dependent. The rescuer is helping the dependent with the hope that they can actually stop the dependent being dependent. But the dependent wants to be financially dependent and wants to keep whatever addictions they have, and the rescuer wants them to stop doing it. So that's where they fight. And generally, the main way this can be resolved is if the rescuer stops enabling the dependent, so the dependent actually has to face their problems themselves and fix it up themselves. And often this actually means that the rescuer has to either withdraw from the relationship or threaten to withdraw from the relationship to make this happen. The third power struggle is the controller-pleaser power struggle, where the controller wants everything done their way in an overt way, and the pleaser wants to get their own way but in a covert way. So the controller says what they want and goes for it. The pleaser doesn't say what they want, but they still go for it. The pleaser tries to get what they want by being accommodating towards the controller, and the controller simply says what they want and just keeps going for it and doesn't take no for an answer. This power struggle is very hard because generally the controller thinks they're getting their own way the whole time and is quite happy, and the pleaser is getting more and more resentful, and sooner or later passive-aggressive covert acts will start to appear, at which time the controller will actually feel very betrayed when they find out about it. So for this power struggle to be resolved, the pleaser simply has to start saying no when they don't want to do something, and they have to actually start being less secretive and more open. And the controller, when they feel betrayed, needs to have to try and understand the pleaser. How did they set up this betrayal? What was it that they forced the pleaser to become secretive about? Why did the pleaser act in the way they did? The pleaser, it's a dynamic. They both only act in the way they do because of the other one they're in the relationship with. The advantage of resolving the power struggles is that once all three power struggles are resolved in a romantic relationship, they can go into a phase called mature love, which is a passionate friendship. However, at the point where all the power struggles are resolved, they have to look at what issues are still left, and sometimes they may still be too different. It could be that they want different things out of life. One wants a child, one doesn't, whatever. But it could be that they can move on into another phase. But if they do find there's enough common ground between them, it actually can be a very stable, happy, lasting relationship.